Hello, welcome back. Good evening. We are, well, I didn't stream 2 days in a row, so we got a lot of news to talk about. Yes, we made a new all-time high while I was gone. The day I decide, hey, I'm just gonna take the day off. Everybody's telling me you were on that damn computer for too long, always looking at these little charts. Why don't you go outside? Why don't you touch some grass? The moment I go outside and quote unquote touch grass, yeah, we're at all-time high levels, so not anymore. We had a big drop today that is due to economic data. We will be discussing more in detail why this had happened, what to expect next, what is coming up next. I still think we're in a bull market, we'll be fine. This is likely a good opportunity to be entering if you want to take it that way. I did have a trigger order over here, which did not unfortunately get filled, but it is what it is. You'll notice I'm using USDC now. I've also made the move to change toward that. So we've got that going on. We've got a lot of big institutions buying, a lot of portfolio updates from all these big institutions, these big names, Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, a lot of rich people. And you'll notice a lot of them are adding Bitcoin. Not Warren Buffett specifically, but the rest of them are. What do we got for me? Well, I'm still broke. Well, yesterday I went to Canada's Wonderland and had a great time. Went on every big ride except for Behemoth. I didn't have time. Alpine Furry was like out of service and we had to wait such a long time in line, and that ate up a huge chunk of the day. Also in the water park, for these 5-second rides, you had to wait about like an hour. So it's pretty good. You know, money well spent. I'll leave it at that. So that happened, and what else? My mic. I'm still holding the microphone in my hand. I gotta fix this mic stand or something. I'm thinking of like just getting a plastic cup and making that into a stand, mic stand. Because my mic arm itself, it's like very loose. Like it'll constantly just drop to the floor, and or maybe I just need a new desk. I kind of want to move over to my actual bedroom because my walls are painted green. I had this back in the back of my mind, like, sure, I could paint my wall. Like, it's already painted green. I don't have to paint it. Um, it's like dark green though, so I don't know if it'll work as a green screen, if you know what I'm saying. I could put like a nice background there. I would have to like awkwardly place my desk facing the wall. Maybe if I put it in a corner, it would look okay. Thinking of maybe hanging stuff on the wall, but then that would defeat the purpose of a green screen. I don't even know. Yeah, a new desk either way is what I would need. I want like an L-shaped desk. So anyway, in all the news, I've started applying as well for work because extra income would be great. I'm getting a little greedy with my money, or a bit insecure of what to do with it. Obviously, I don't want to have it in the bank. I obviously don't want to have it in USDT, just sitting there doing nothing. Sure, you could earn staking and all of that, but really you should always have your money working for you. If you've made hundreds of dollars, you put those hundreds of dollars to make you thousands. If you've made those thousands, make tens thousands, hundreds of thousands, and then millions, etc. So you should always have your money working for you, is what I would think. But you have to be wise with where you're putting your money, right? Because you could just lose it all, right? Everything can just drop, and if you're very much in it, you're going to lose all of it. I am cautiously selecting portions of my money, and you know what? If I'm going to just like do nothing with my money, I'll throw it all in Bitcoin, and that's it. Like, I'm not having USDT sitting there doing nothing. I'm not converting it to Canadian dollars and throwing it in the bank or investing in low IQ stocks. Like, I'll just put it in Bitcoin, have my whole net worth in Bitcoin like RFK Jr., and we'll go from there. Because it's easy to say this stuff right now. You're seeing Bitcoin at all-time highs, and your your thought process is, yeah, like Bitcoin will always make all-time highs. But do you know how long it took us to get here? The amount of pain and suffering we had to go through. We've seen Bitcoin drop from 110,000 to 74,000. We've seen Bitcoin drop in previous cases from 74,000 to 50,000. Like, those drops are brutal, and if you can withstand that, or if you were smart enough to take advantage and buy within those opportunities, yeah, that would be a great point. Now, my dilemma here is sure, prices have risen. I've taken some profits. And then what do I do with that money, right? I'm going to be patient. That's what I'm currently doing. I'm being patient, waiting for good dips, good opportunities to buy. That's what I'm focusing on. But then I go back to that thing like, I don't want this money doing nothing. I should put it in something. And, well, what do I put it on? Do I just buy Bitcoin on the spot market? If I do that, when everything drops, including Bitcoin, I'm going to want that money to buy the dips, right? And that means I'm going to have to sell Bitcoin at a loss. So then in that sense, for me, it doesn't make sense to buy into Bitcoin, especially at these high levels. So my philosophy now is I'm just going to allocate it as if this was a bill payment. I'm going to DCA into Bitcoin little amounts, right? And that money I will no longer ever be able to touch. That's just me accumulating Bitcoin from then on forwards. I think there's no way you could go wrong with that. Set it like a, I don't know, like a weekly payment. Like this is your, what, a life insurance payment. What do you guys have bills for? Phone bills, gas bills. Just add an extra bill, but for Bitcoin, which, you know, when you pay bills, you make other companies and institutions richer. But when you're buying Bitcoin, you're making yourself richer. I think that's a good way to look at it. So that might be the thing that I do. But not right now. I'm going to be a degen and just ape into anything I see as a good opportunity. So Bitcoin, I saw this level could have been a great opportunity. 116k. Could be the case. Maybe we get a red day tomorrow. Seems like Asian markets, if they are open right now, are doing little to nothing to the market. Kind of even selling off a little bit, to say the least, right? Because we were kind of coming back up. Let me explain what the drop, or the rise and the drop that happened, right? We had Bitcoin to about where we are right now. Since last time I streamed. I know, right? No way this can go wrong. My last words. Yeah, so we're basically the same level where we were 2 days ago when I last streamed. 118,000. We had a huge rise up to 124,579. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a new all-time high. Ethereum, huge run as well. We'll talk about it when we get there. Almost reaching its 2021 highs. I'm also looking at this in USDC now, so these numbers are different. The charts have reset for me. I'm going to have to redo my analysis, but I'm totally fine with that. Starting fresh, it's usually a good idea to, like if you got a lot of stuff just drawn on your chart, erase it all and redraw it. Maybe you'll find something new. You'll remember some of the stuff that you've drawn and say like, where was that point I saw again? Oh yeah, it's because of this. Is this still valid? Yeah, so, you know, it's a good way to manage it, in my opinion. We had a beautiful rise all the way up to here. And then overnight we kind of corrected. Admittedly, we did get into the overbought territory, so we started dropping from there. And then the biggest drop happened at 8:30 a.m. this morning, August 14. That was due to bad economic data. Your Cardano you bought for 92 was finally up, and it's back down even, better than a few days ago though. Yeah, I actually thought about that when I saw that for Cardano. I'm like, oh, this guy, he's definitely in profit now. We did reach like over $1 for Cardano, so definitely I'm hoping at least he still took advantage of that. You're waiting till 1.50 to 1.70 to sell. Yeah, I think that's reasonable too. I do have more evidence as well that retail interest is starting to come back into the markets. We're seeing an uptick in Google Trends searches for the word altcoin. So that's how you know. Those are early indicators. So I'd agree with that. Holding on to it is probably the best play. DCA as well if you can. Like if you do see any dips, those are great opportunities to accumulate more, in my opinion. Since then, of course, because of that bad economic data for Bitcoin and everything else, actually, Bitcoin drops a little bit, everything drops a little bit more. We had it return back to this 118,218, actually hitting a low point of 117,192. I have a trigger order at 116,842. So just about $300 off from where that dip was, this lowest point right over here, which unfortunately did not hit, but it's fine. It's whatever. What do we got? We got some volatility for tomorrow, I'm assuming. Friday. We're getting nothing. I lied. I thought we were getting PCE data. That's probably next week then. FOMC minutes next week. Well, I guess I'm completely wrong. I thought we were getting PCE data or something important. PPI was today, which is a little unfortunate. That's fine. Okay, moving on. Ethereum. On. Oh, it's just slow. Nice. So Ethereum is currently priced at 4,571, down 3% today. We actually dropped to this point of our fib retracement, right? 4,458. Lowest point was 4,457. Yeah, approximately that same level. Kind of recovered a little bit from there after reaching a high of 4,799, almost $4,800. Which you're not going to see it in this chart. I'm going to have to go to like a USDT chart to get more history on it. If we go back to the weekly charts, the all-time high in 2021, this is what it is, 4,865. We were about $60 off from hitting that, which, of course, that would mean that this is indeed a important resistance. 4,865, I'm going to write that over here, so that I know that that is our all-time high. 4,865, approximately there. I'm looking at this in USDC, so it's not going to be exact, but it is just a little way for me to figure that out. We're so close to that. Unfortunate. But we'll get there. Ethereum's been on a roll lately, and uptrend is looking very strong, very healthy. Look at that. Super trend invalidates 4,306. I can't believe I'm saying these numbers for Ethereum, by the way. So, yeah. Other than that, these pivot levels are a bit high. Resistance 2 is actually the all-time high. Interesting. Didn't notice that. You traded 1 ETH for PAL AI about 1 year. That PAL is now worth about 1,700 now. So far seems to be an L. Need an alt season. I've never heard of PAL AI. I will check this one sec. When did you buy that? Was that like 2021, I'm assuming? PAL AI. Oh, number 348. Yeah, this definitely is dropped. I'm assuming you must have bought around here. Yeah. Oh, like one ETH at the time, 2021. I mean, even recently, 3,000, 4,000. If that's dropped to 1,700, yeah, it's a significant loss of value if you used 1 Ethereum for that. Okay, I see. All right, but for here, what else we got? Is my volume too high? No, we're good. We're good. Solana is at 192.56, down 4.56%. I had an open position. I still do. It's on my standard futures account with USDT. I purchased it at 189, 187, I think. And that immediately, like, was rising from there. No, I definitely purchased that, like, where did I buy it? Definitely not in the 190s or 200s, but it's definitely in profit still, even to this point. We rose to a high of 210 over the past couple days, higher than our previous high of 206 approximately. So, yeah. Oh, you bought PAL when it was about 23 cents. Interesting, okay. My Solana position is still in profit. Could have taken the profits yesterday night, but I was just so tired. I came back from that amusement park and I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed. Just this weird feeling I get, like, when I come back from an amusement park, after being on all these crazy roller coasters, I lay down in my bed, I close my eyes, and my head just feels like the dizziness just kicks in, where it's like, I feel all those, like, movements, or like, you know, when you rise or drop on a roller coaster, I just start feeling that, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just so odd. I'm like, ugh. But it felt good, though. It was really cool. What do we got for Solana here? Obviously that support at 189. Lowest point we hit today was 187. So I guess I practically hit my neutral position once again. But we've risen from there. We're at 193 currently, so on our way back up. Uptrend is still there. I have a trigger order at 176. I don't think that's going to get hit. I might consider moving that up to 182 approximately, based off this fib retracement. Uh, decent position size. This time I'm adding a bit more. As you can see, I've put more USDC on the line. So you know I mean business. XRP, $3.09, staying above the $3 mark. 2.99 was our lowest. Well, 298.86 approximately. This is also a fresh chart. I'm gonna have to redraw my stuff. Really, it's just the $3 is the important level. And I also do have a fib extension that I probably might consider drawing again. And this was after, surprisingly, XRP didn't move as heavily as the rest of other coins. It hit a high of, what was this, 335 after staying within this range for a moment. Uptrend is still there though, right? We bounced off the super trend, so this confirms the uptrend that we do have over here. That's valid for now. Yeah, so still on our way up. I do not plan to accumulate XRP, not at these prices. You bought Sol at 149, staked with no plans on selling. Maybe around 300 you'll consider it. Yeah, that's a good idea as well. 300 easily Solana can hit once again. Although, admittedly, Solana got that big boost because of Trump meme. But I still think Solana, really, really good project. And with this alt season that will be coming soon, we can see those high levels once again of 300. Alright. What else do we got? Sui. 376. I also had a position, a trigger order here, not a position, which seems like that's not going to happen. I did open another position on another exchange and another account right around here, 372 I think it was. So it's in slight profit, like making $30, nothing too crazy. I wish I did it on this account though, but I don't know. I was looking at these drops over here. I'm like, we're not oversold yet, so we can continue with a drop realistically and, you know, stay within an uptrend, even as far down as about 348. So that's what made me put this 346 over here, averaging out 3 prices of 348, the super trend line, 346, the fib retracement, and 345 support 1 from our pivot levels. That's what made me do that. I kind of ignored the 361, although I do feel like it could be an important support as well, based off of these levels over here before we took off. By the way, when we took off, Sui hit $4.18 USDC. I guess that's what I meant to say. And from there, a huge drop as well, unfortunately, but still alive. 377. Uptrend is still there. We even have a tighter one that's still valid as of at this point. So that's what we got for Sui. Down 6% overall, though. Cardano down 1%, but it managed to stay pretty strong compared to the rest. I remember this morning, everything was in the red except for Cardano was slightly up, reaching a high of $1.01, almost 2 cents. That is great to see for Cardano, and we're about 91 cents right now. Basically where you made your entry price, Mr. Balloon Chunks, so that's cool. Uptrend is still there for it. That's also nice. I still think it's too high right now. I even showed my cousin yesterday this. I'm like, you know, Cardano's at 88 cents. You know, I feel like Cardano's like that one coin that still hasn't taken off yet. Now would be a great time to enter. I said this while we were waiting in line for this huge roller coaster. And I don't shut my phone off. I put my phone away, take it out later on because I was still bored waiting in line. And I saw it at like 92, 93. I'm like, wow, it's taken off for real. And then practically overnight, well, by the time we got home late at night, it was around this high point, $1.01. I didn't have any open positions on Cardano, so I missed out on all of this, unfortunately. That's why I don't plan to accumulate it, not at these high prices, waiting for that to drop a little further. Realistically, we can see about 80 cents. I'd be comfortable with accumulating from there. Right now, no. Right now, though, no. So, there we go. Chainlink down 6.70%. Top performer, by the way, Chainlink. Hitting a high of $24.72. Huge pumps. Really wish I kind of waited to sell. Obviously, I'll never be able to determine where the highest points are. I see oversold areas around over here. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good idea to sell. I think I sold last time at around... I could see my position history. Chainlink, I sold it at $18 right over here. Buying it at the low point of 15, I think I hit that exact low point. 1561 and we hit a low of 1538. Like, how much more precise can you be, right? That was practically a perfect snipe right at the bottom over here. And I saw $18. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the 140 profit, whatever it was. Yeah, 140. Pathetic. Could have made 2 or 3 times more of that. But it is what it is. I don't know anyone who's lost money by taking profits. You lost a potential bit of more money, but profit is profit nonetheless. Litecoin also really top performer recently, hitting a high of 134. We're getting back up there. I want to see Litecoin hit 140 once again. Would be great. We are currently dropped, though, down to 121. We're seeing good support at around this area, right? 120. And super trend is pointing up toward 117. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe that would be a great area to accumulate, although I don't think I will for Litecoin at these high prices. Might regret that, but we'll see. Stellar XLM. I am upset that this did not get hit, but it's fine. There will always be opportunities. I do have a trigger order here, averaging out 2 prices. Super trend and fib retracement. It's looking at 40 cents either way. Those 2 levels are very tight together. We're currently using mainly the 41 as the support. We're at 42 right now. Headed towards almost 43 where we have this pivot. Previously support, now will become resistance. So watch out for that. I'm also still looking at RSI, right? Looking for possible oversold areas. A lot of these coins have not hit that yet, so that's why I wasn't really in a rush to like enter everything I could see that's dropping right now, because we had such a huge day, just like yesterday and the day before, right? So this is usually a normal breather, technically speaking, but we know the reason why, and that was due to bad economic data that we just got. So we're going to discuss that coming up soon. This is what I'm talking about in terms of the altcoins surging in popularity due to Google Trends, right? People search things like, what is an altcoin? What are the best altcoins to buy? That kind of stuff. This is retail interest, the masses, everybody, pathetic, normal people. No, I don't want to say that. But, you know, just regular old people. That's what we call the retail market. They see Bitcoin hitting these all-time highs and they're like, oh man, how can I want to get involved in this. I don't want to buy Bitcoin. That is too expensive. I don't have $120,000. I'm going to buy this fart coin that costs a couple pennies. You know, that kind of deal. But yeah, anyways, it's happening. We also, of course, have the support of the president. Kind of indirectly, kind of directly at some points, but the main indirect fact is, look, tariffs are good for the economy. They're not causing inflation. We need to get those rate cuts. It could save us trillions of dollars per year. And even pushing the Fed to lower interest rates by 3 to 4 basis points so that we can have 1% interest rates. For reference, the current rates are about 4.5%. So, yeah, dropping 3 to 4 points means like, yeah, percentages, I guess, to 1% approximately is what he wants. That would really boom the economy. 1% interest rates, yeah, that would be pretty huge. But that's a very unrealistic, what would you call it, target. So it's probably not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. Just putting that out there. We also know that Trump will be naming a new Federal Reserve chairman early, with a short list narrowed down to 3 or 4 candidates, talking specifically about replacing Jerome Powell, whose term ends next year, May 2026, or if Trump is able to do this, kind of force him to resign by insulting him and giving him a hard time, basically, after every economic data that we get. He'll always like come out and say something against Fed Chair Jerome Powell. We also even have some backing from Scott Bessent. He says that there's a good chance of a 50 basis point rate cut this year. We could get a 50 basis point rate cut, but it's likely that it's going to be at 25 basis points anyway. Due to the Fed watch that we have here, based on this information, it's looking like, yeah, we will likely get 2 rate cuts. Yesterday, this was at 99%, 99.9%, like almost guaranteed that we were going to get a rate cut. But after today's data, that percentage has dropped, and that is why everything else has dropped in the market, which we'll get to. I do have news on that later. But it's still high nonetheless. I feel like that is an overreaction, this whole drop on the market. It is also due to a lot of liquidations, which we'll get to as well. But yeah, 92% chance of you getting a rate cut. Like, come on. I could win the lottery with those numbers. October is looking like we're getting another rate cut. But what a lot of people are a bit upset about is what's happening in December. The chance of a third rate cut is kind of not there anymore. This is just like constantly fluctuating around. It's even gone to the point where the October one, the next meeting after September, it's looking like almost a 50-50 of whether or not we'll get a rate cut. But for sure by December. We're still in line with the Fed's projections of 2 rate cuts for the year, but September will give us more clarity on that. We're expecting to see new numbers, new projections on what they're seeing based off of the tariffs and how they're impacting the economy. We also have this unfortunate news from Scott Bessent saying that the US government is not going to be buying Bitcoin. That also hurt our feelings a little bit. But don't worry, Cynthia Loomis, she's like the mom of crypto. She came out to say, yeah, Secretary Scott Bessent is spot on about the importance of Bitcoin as a store of value in the digital age. And she looks forward to continue working with Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick to identify budget-neutral ways to continue growing our Bitcoin reserve and outpacing adversaries in the race. Adversaries in the race, of course, will be China. Budget-neutral ways to continue growing Bitcoin reserve. What would that even entail? Probably selling gold. Probably maybe tariffs are so good that we could... I think they're going to prioritize cutting income tax out of the way before they start accumulating Bitcoin with that kind of money. Well, we shall see, right? Or proceeds of some other way of the government making some form of profits. I'm assuming they don't want to use the tax dollars to buy Bitcoin. That's off the table. But Cynthia Loomis is looking for ways to kind of get that on for us, right? We shall see what happens. But don't worry, Paul Atkins as well, Sec Chair. He's set to unveil the details of Project Crypto tomorrow. Whatever that means. We don't know what Project Crypto is, but we shall see. All right, cool. This is what Trump has to say about tariffs and also about Goldman Sachs. A little side note on him. Trump says that trillions of dollars are being taken in on tariffs, which has been incredible for our country, its stock market, its general wealth, and just about everything else. It has been proven that even at this late stage, tariffs have not caused inflation or any other problems for country other than massive amounts of cash pouring into our treasury's coffers. Also, it has been shown that for the most part, consumers aren't even paying these tariffs. It's mostly companies and governments, many of them foreign, picking up the tabs. But David Solomon and Goldman Sachs refuse to give credit where credit is due. They made a bad prediction a long time ago on both this market repercussion and the tariffs themselves. And they were wrong, just like they were wrong about so much else. I think that David should go out and get himself a new economist, or maybe he ought to just focus on being a DJ and not bother running a major financial institution. Shots fired, wow. This whole point, they were one of the few who were saying like, oh, tariffs are going to cause a recession, tariffs are going to be bad for the economy, they're going to be inflationary, things like that. These were very early predictions that we saw back in, what was it, February, March, April, tariff season. But according to Trump, it's been good for the economy lately, as we have seen. But he does point out one thing, or shadowing, of course, something, the fact that it's mostly companies and governments that are paying for these tariffs. That has to do with the economic data that we got today. Also, of course, this is from the previous economic data we got from CPI, which came in relatively fine, in line with expectations, and actually boosted the chance of us seeing a rate cut. Trump was saying that Jerome, too late Powell, must now lower the rate. Steve, what is this, Mnuchin, really gave me a beauty when he pushed this loser. The damage he has done by always being too late is incalculable. Fortunately, the economy is so good that we're blown through Powell and the complacent board. I am, though, considering allowing a major lawsuit against Powell to proceed because of the horrible and grossly incompetent job he has done in managing the construction of the Fed buildings. $3 billion for a job that should have been a $50 million fix-up. Not good. Wow, so that seems to be the way, first of all, by insulting Powell, maybe giving him some pressure, giving him a hard time to make him resign, make him leave office, so that Trump can appoint somebody else who would be more in line with Trump's policies and likely to cut rates upon Trump's command. Although I'm not sure a lot of people are going to like that because the Fed is supposed to be a private institution and not controlled by the government. It's supposed to be independent. But, rate cuts would be pretty good for our bags too. Not saying that I have anything accumulated anymore, but it is what it is. There will always be opportunities. So now he's allowing a major lawsuit against Powell to proceed. And he's citing, of course, the Fed construction, the place where Trump visited Powell, the meme where they're both wearing the construction helmets. Funny. So maybe the people will sue him. I don't know. I don't know what the point of this is, but of course, main idea is to get this guy out of office. Now, core CPI inflation was back above 3%. PPI inflation is at its hottest since March 2022, and that is the data that we just got today. Can I please open this? So this is the data that we got. 0.9%, which is much higher than the consensus, the forecast that we were expecting, 0.2%, right? So this is the producers, the production, the companies, the inflation rates that they are meeting up with, and they're noticing that it's much higher, which could be bad for the consumers, because if the producers are getting all these high prices now for goods and services that they need in order to continue with their businesses, they're going to start charging the consumers more to cover for those costs, right? That's why people kind of got frightened a bit, saying, hey, I thought tariffs weren't inflationary, and now they are, so whoa, less chance of us seeing a rate cut, because now Jerome Powell is going to say, oh, well, we see that the tariffs are causing inflation, so we're not going to cut rates, which is the fear of every investor. We don't want that to happen. So it seems like people are kind of getting over it now. We still require more economic data to know for sure. We still got a long time before September comes. I do kind of wish that this whole month will just blow over already. But anyway, this week's inflation data was not ideal. Core CPI inflation, it did kind of rise, but that was in line with expectations. But core PPI was much higher and surprised many people. The question has shifted from if the Fed will cut rates to now how many rate cuts will we get. Here's the example of us expecting 3 rate cuts, right? But now we just looked at the chart again, it's looking like it's only 2. So, of course, not a lot of rate cuts. The US dollar isn't as weak, it strengthens, and that causes every other asset against the US dollar to fall. That's what we're expecting over here. Of course, Trump's now calling for a 300 basis point interest rate cut, of course, but we're not going to see that from Powell. He's narrowing down his list for the next Fed chair. We just discussed that. Trump is looking for Powell's replacement as soon as possible. And this is clearing a path for Trump to get rate cuts, even as inflation reaccelerates. He still wants rates to go back down to 1%, which will boost inflation even higher. If this happens, mortgage rates will fall towards 3%, and already record high housing prices will explode. In our view, home prices would surge by 10% in year 1. That is another estimate, of course, by the cause of all this, right? The near-term effects would also be explosive. If we do see a 300 basis point rate cut, it would send the S&P 500 well above 7,000. Wow, for reference, it's about 6,000 or 5,000. I haven't checked on it in a hot minute. Let me do a live check on SP 500. It's usually, what is it, US 500? Yeah, we're 6,476. Boosting this to 7,000. That is a pump indeed. For a huge asset like this, the S&P 500, that is a significant movement, right? But it would come at a substantial cost, as well as we could expect CPI inflation to exceed 5% with a year of such drastic rate cuts, of course. Cutting rates would increase inflation, devalues the US dollar, etc., pumps the bags. The bigger problem, services inflation, I don't think we need to know about this. Yeah, I guess we kind of get the main idea of it, right? So I'll move on here. Of course, losing that extra rate cut, the third rate cut for this year, the chances of it wipes out, what is this number? $100 billion wiped out from the crypto market cap in the past 24 hours. When you do see headlines like this, and I've talked about this before, headlines like billions of dollars wiped out of crypto market, trillions out of the stock market, that's usually a pretty good time to buy, in my opinion. But I didn't see them in oversold conditions. I'm just taking this as these positions were over leveraged. A lot of hype going on around, right? Ethereum approaching all-time highs, Bitcoin making all-time highs, alt season trending. You know, people thought we were so back, and you get a little bit too greedy with it. I'm taking Warren Buffett's advice here, where you must be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Everybody's greedy right now. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. So I'm just playing it patient. Whatever. If things continue to rise, I still got some stuff that I purchased really expensive, waiting for those to rise. I wouldn't mind. But I would like a bit of a drop because I myself am greedy too. Would like to increase my positions a bit more, and then we can rise, right? Who wouldn't want that? But anyway, speaking of the Buffett himself, the GOAT, here is the portfolio update for him and a lot of other investors who I don't think I'm going to review a lot of them. But here's the major ones for Warren Buffett that I will talk about. Apple and Bank of America, we know that he's been selling those off. He continued to do that. Bought more Chevron. Sold a bit of DaVita Healthcare. No, I never heard of that. Bought more Constellation brands. He purchased United Health for the first time, and that's caught the attention of a lot of people, myself included. I am also starting to invest into United Health because I think it's severely oversold. This is the Canadian dollar one. Whatever. Let me go to the American one. NYSE. There we go. Because we can see post-market movements in this chart, right? Look at how oversold we are. About 234 lowest point. Man, if you were lucky enough to get in there, I was. I was approximately around over here after we kind of confirmed we were out of the oversold area. And I'm expecting a big pump by tomorrow morning, Friday, for when the Canadian markets open, the same as the American markets. But I don't have the ability to trade overnight. It is what it is. But hey, we're back to $300 per stock for United Health, which that is a significant recovery. I mean, we've been oversold a lot of times for like all these areas right over here. All this over here still oversold. Looking like a bit of sign of recovery, hopefully. So that definitely got the attention of a lot of investors. The fact that Warren Buffett's buying into it, it kind of reinforces their ideas like, hey, the GOAT himself is buying, we should buy too. Purchase more Domino's Pizza, purchase more Pool Corp. One more thing about Warren Buffett here is we did see these odd purchases, right? He's purchasing Domino's Pizza. Why are you buying that? He was also purchasing, what was the other one? It was some other, they were called like safe assets or something like that. It's because he knew those tariffs were coming. And hey, even if tariffs are a thing, like you're still going to want to buy pizza. You're still going to, you know, things like that. I don't know exactly what the companies were, but he played it safe. Who else is relevant here? Maybe Bill Gates, I guess, if you kind of care. He purchased Berkshire Hathaway and sold a bit of his Microsoft. No surprise. Yeah. We'll discuss more because we do have other not tech giants, but what do you even call these people? Institutional companies, right? Purchasing more stuff. And a lot of them are related to crypto, which is what surprised me specifically. Renaissance Technologies filed their Q2 stock trades. They sold some Palantir and Robinhood. Fair enough. Those two have been making all-time highs. They also opened a new position in United Health and also a position on Bitcoin, which was interesting. This company also buying Bitcoin now. And also United Health, all once again, just, you know, big green candle. You get the point. Jane Street just filed a holdings update. They added approximately $1 billion of Bitcoin to their portfolio, and it is now their largest holding. Wow. That, of course, has to do with IBIT, right? The BlackRock's ETF. The largest holding, $1 billion. Crazy stuff. All these companies, institutions, like I said, it's happening. They're buying. It explains the all-time high that we just got. Cantor Fitzgerald, run by the children of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, they just filed a portfolio update. They bought up huge amounts of Bitcoin, Trump media stock, and stock in the Chinese company Alibaba. There you go. Fidelity Bitcoin ETF. What is this? $1 million? Wait, what was this? Yeah, $120 million. This is the shares. This is the money. $120 million in Fidelity's Bitcoin ETF. Once again, it's happening, right? We also got new data on Senator Ted Cruz's portfolio, now holding $250,000 worth of Bitcoin. And he also owns 3 Bitcoin miners. Wow. Even the politicians are getting involved. Wells Fargo, big bank. They filed a holdings update, adding around $126 million to their Bitcoin position. So they already had it. They just added a bit more. And added about $143 million in MicroStrategy stock. Of course, we know what MicroStrategy does. They buy a lot of Bitcoin. And here's that list. Am I blind? Where's the Bitcoin one? It's probably a ticker I don't recognize. I don't see MicroStrategy here either, unless I'm really blind. It's probably not significant, I guess. But hey, there you go. A lot of institutions, a lot of companies, they're buying in. Enable donations. Yeah. Thank you so much, Blowing Chunks. But yeah, I would like to enable donations, but I can't. I need more subscribers to do that. Or I forgot what the requirements were. I'll check them later on. But, you know, I obviously would have enabled donations if I had the ability to. And I wish I can soon. So I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. What else we got here? Goldman Sachs. This is not specifically having to do with crypto or Bitcoin, but they gave a note to their clients today, told them to buy calls on the following names. Keep in mind, these are options. They're not actually buying the stocks, but Palantir, Advanced Micro Devices, which I agree with, UPS, Warner Bros. Discovery, and EA. Is EA, is that the gaming company? Is it? Yeah, it is. Electronic Arts, yeah. Interesting. And, I mean, these are already way too high. Palantir is also already way too high. Warner Brothers, WBD. Go to a weekly chart, actually. I mean, that's not too bad. Warner Brothers, I could see. Good possible entry. UPS, I know AMD is definitely good. I haven't checked UPS stock. Kind of diverting over to stocks here. UPS looks decent as well. A lot of deliveries, of course, happening. Although it's not a very volatile stock, but they do seem like they pay out some pretty decent dividends. This is about 10% maybe annual return. It's just looking at it at first glance. And Advanced Micro Device. What do we got? Oh, it's already on its way back up. Wow. Crazy. This, of course, has to do with, like, how well NVIDIA has been performing. It's contagious for AMD to rise up with it. We also got Matt Gaetz, who was running for under Trump's cabinet for something, I forget, and then he had to leave. Because, I don't know, thought it was just bad reputation or something. He's buying Pengu. What a time to be alive. The digital penguins. I wonder if that even had any impact on the price. I doubt it did. I haven't even checked on Pengu in a while. It's at 34 right now. That's pretty good, actually. Although, I always said I wanted it below 30, so I could accumulate around, yeah, like below over here. Would have been sick, but no. It's risen to 46. That was like its highest point recently. This is probably going to have to be adjusted there. Yeah. 34 for Pengu right now. This would have been a good entry around that super trend. Keeping that uptrend, of course, alive. I didn't enter at 32. It is what it is. But there you go. Pengu still on fire. Switzerland. Central Bank. They now hold $5 million in Trump media stock. The DJT. And we know what Trump media stock is doing now. They're also buying lots of Bitcoin. Raised, I think it was $2 billion to buy Bitcoin. And the way they're doing it, actually, this surprised me. Trump Media filed an amended S1 for the Truth Social Bitcoin ETF. That's going to consist of Bitcoin, Cardano, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, I think. And no, not Cardano. Not Cardano. It was going to be Kronos instead of Cardano, the crypto.com coin, right? And they're actually going to be using crypto.com as the custodian. That made crypto.com surge like a rocket. And I could have got rid of my stuff. Let me go to USDT. I don't know, just give me a random chart. Not on the weekly chart, but hey, you'll see in the past couple of weeks, it's been on the rise once again. Yeah, I kind of wish I had a good opportunity to sell over here. We did hit higher points though, 23 over here. 15 cents American. I'm used to the Canadian price because that's where I have my Kronos app, right? We just dropped today, but like during that time, we hit a high of 17 cents. We're at 15 cents for Kronos right now. So yeah, congratulations, Kronos, Crypto.com. I bet Chris is very happy. Cannery Capital registers for a Trump coin ETF in Delaware. I don't know if this is necessary, but hey, there it is. A meme coin getting an ETF. There you go. Has to do with Trump. Grayscale also registers for a Cardano and Hedera ETF in Delaware, indicating it may soon file for a spot Cardano or Hedera ETF. That's pretty good as well. Part of the reason why Cardano has been surging. Hedera not so much, but it still had a good rise. I entered a position on H-bar around where it is currently. No, not even. No, I entered like right above over here. High point around 26. It rose to 27 like yesterday, but I was too busy to sell and it wouldn't have been a lot of profit anyway. It's already dropped to 25 right now. It's fine. I'll still hold on to it. We were in an uptrend finally for it. So I think the right place to probably hold on to it. Rising from like 12 cents though to 25, that's already double. So a lot of potential with Hedera, American project, good stuff. And I mean, yeah, we did hear talks about Hedera ETFs before, so could become a possibility soon. The SEC also delays their decision on Bitwise's Solana ETF and 21 shares Solana ETF. The new deadline is for October 16. Why, oh why will they continue pushing stuff? We knew that we know it's probably because they want the blueprint thing to come out based off a little bit that I researched on it. Like a blueprint to kind of approve tokenized ETFs to get approved faster, right? I don't know if this is bullish. That is probably a lie, but it's fine. We know that these guys do have active files open for Solana ETF. As of right now, we do have a Solana ETF with staking, but it's only available through Rex, which I don't know if a lot of people, I don't know what it is. Do people even trust it, or is there just not a lot of interest for it? I mean, it will be there soon, and the more companies that start applying for it, it's going to get more popular. I'm looking for not that. I'm looking for ETF flows for Solana. Yeah, we only have Rex Osprey. And there's not a lot of traffic going on there. Bit of inflows, $2.7 million outflow, $6 million inflow, $5 million inflow. In total, they've inflowed $159 million on Solana. It's pretty good. Solana's not as big as Bitcoin, where Bitcoin you're expecting to see hundreds of millions of dollars being inflowed every day, or outflowed, depending on the day. I'm assuming today was a bit of an outflow day. Can you please load? Or not? Oh, it's already there. Yeah, today's a bit of an outflow day so far, unless BlackRock saves us, but I don't know if... It's getting scary. BlackRock is buying a little bit too much Bitcoin. Don't you agree? Something I probably warned about years ago. Last year, not years ago. But, yeah. Still 86 million, 65 million. Overall inflows for the week, not too bad. But big outflow day today, nonetheless. Almost 300 million. Wisconsin Senate introduces bill requiring full KYC for Bitcoin ATMs. Mandates photo ID for every purchase, caps transactions at $1,000, and it collects personal information from users. Where's the decentralization? Just do this on an exchange. You don't got to go to Bitcoin ATM in Wisconsin. Bullish. This is a company, an exchange from Peter Thiel, I think it is. And they got their IPO finally on the New York Stock Exchange. There was talks about this last week. I think I covered it. It's official now. It exists. Bullish. If I can remember the ticker, that would be great. I think it's... I'm assuming it's just BLSH. I looked at it before. Yeah, it is this. Yep, here we go. So it started off at 96 cents. Dollars, not cents. Opened at $90 is what it says, which is their IPO price is 37. That means that there's so much investment already in this company that it starts at $90. Rose to a high of 117 during that time and has already dropped down over here to 74. We don't have enough data. It's a bit too early. I would stay away from it, but this is, if you want to get an idea on how it will perform, similar to what you're seeing with Coinbase. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Beyond Meat, headed to Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I'm not sure if a lot of people liked this company, but was it BYND? Yes, Beyond Meat. This is like the vegetarian meats company, right? So they dropped to 234 approximately. They're on their way down. They're going for bankruptcy soon, so rest in peace. Do Kwon, you guys remember Terra Luna? He has pleaded guilty to conspiracy to defraud and wire fraud over that $40 billion Luna collapse. Unfortunate, but yeah, there we go. He's serving up to 25 years in prison for it. We're also getting, last bit of news over here, 75.8% tariffs on Canadian canola from China in response to Canada's tax on Chinese electric vehicles. It's getting better every time. I love it. Alright. That's the end of the stream. Perfect. It is 9:55. Okay, well, what do we got tomorrow? Really, not much, but I still have a bit of other news that I had to leave out for today. I guess we'll discuss tomorrow if there's not a lot of stuff going on, but overall, we remain bullish. Things are still going to continue higher. We're seeing all these institutions and companies buying more Bitcoin, and if they're buying Bitcoin at these prices, it's because they deserve to buy at these prices. If you've been following me for a while, you've already paid attention to when I've given good signals for buying. Not saying that you should take me as financial advice or anything, but I'm just saying, man, analyzing the markets every day. This is why I like doing these streams. And I know sometimes it can maybe be boring or whatever, but it's part of what I have to do, right? I always have to share the news. They say, like, there's this phenomenon of, like, if you want to learn something really well, teach it to other people, because that way you learn more about it as well. Because you have to give the answers, so you have to know the answers to whatever questions you may have about what you're teaching at the time. And, sometimes you see me stutter or whatever, but I try my best to research and look into the stuff and provide information. And, yeah, it's not all the time. I don't know. I try to be entertaining if I can, but I still try to, like, get through to the news. Because, I mean, ultimately it is for myself as well, right? It will help me in my day-to-day while I make my decisions, but yeah, anyway. Bit of a monologue there. I don't know if I missed the train here. Probably. But I'm not too afraid either way. Like, if this entry does not work out, it's fine, I'll cancel it, and there will be another oversold opportunity eventually. There always is. Then those are great times to buy when price is oversold. Just saying. You can sell them when they're overbought. Right over here. Right over here. Right? I was thinking of even automating this. I haven't touched code in a very long time now. But yeah, I might go back to automating that kind of stuff. Alright, cool. That's the end of the stream here. I actually want to find out what the requirements are for what you said, Blowing Chunks, about when I can start receiving some money on the channel. That would be great. Right, go YouTube Studio. Earn. Start earning in your journey. Super chats. No, that's memberships. Continue to grow. Watch page ads. I don't want to give ads. I'm assuming it is this, though. Supers. I need 500 subscribers and 3 video uploads in the last 90 days. I'm almost at the 500. I'm at 426. And one of the following. And the last year, I need 1,034 valid. Sorry, I need 3,000 valid public watch hours. So I guess I got to start uploading more again. I've been slowing down on the audiobook reading stuff that I've been doing. The narrating, I guess. It's not really audiobooks because it's not official, and I usually that stuff gets taken down, so I got to be careful with it. But it's fine. They'll let me know when I'm eligible, and then for the ads, I need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 valid public watch hours instead of 3,000. So far, I have 1,000, just for reference, and it's either that or shorts, but I don't plan to do shorts at all. Like, I feel like that's just brain rot content. It's hard to do. Like, what are you going to look at a horizontal chart? So it's going to be too difficult. And also to provide us a lot of information in a short amount of time about charts. I don't know if that's necessarily my style, but you know. So 500 subscribers and 2,000 more watch hours is what I'll need. We're almost there. We're almost there. Just got to keep this up, I guess. All right. That'll be the end then. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. Bye. How do I end stream?